Hello and welcome to the Sports Box. And welcome again, Puneet. How are you doing?
I- I'm doing fantastic, man. They're all set for the final game week 38.
Yes,
Keeping
and that is
fingers
what
crossed.
we're going to be discussing today because all of the year that has gone through with the 3 month break that came in between, all boils down to this last day. And I don't remember a season when there has been so much at stake on the last day. So I've seen seasons where even the title has been decided, but then not a lot of teams rely on that final day. But today I see there are almost seven teams which I can think of who will be, just eyeing that final day because there's Wolves and Tottenham eyeing for a Europa League spot. There are Leicester United and Chelsea looking for the top four spot. And then again, there are Bournemouth, Watford, and Aston Villa who are looking to seek promotion. So
I,
a lot of eight teams, that is, so 8 out of 12 teams have their fates hanging in the hanging on the last day of the season. And I think that I don't remember a season like this in the recent past, and I think that that's really good. That's really exciting. But at the same time, if you're a fan of one of the clubs, then really nervy moments, and this last, all this lockdown. One thing I noticed is that the games were coming so quick and fast. But as soon as that last game being that the final nail in the coffin, where you could sort of be playing. I mean, it's a big difference. It may not seem like much because for a Chelsea, Leicester, or a United, you could either be playing Barcelona, Real Madrid, or you could be playing probably an Astana in the Europa League. So that is the difference we're talking about. It may forget the financial implications. I think that personally, as a Chelsea fan, I don't even care much because Chelsea have already signed a couple of players. They're looking good when it comes to signing Havertz as well. So as long as your signings are good, I don't think Chelsea, United, or Leicester, either of them are in a position to sort of compete for the Champions League. So it may not affect. It's not like they'll go into the Champions League and win it, but the fact that it'll be so much better if you're playing these top teams, and even if you lose to them and go out, rather than playing, A on a Thursday night and B with, substandard teams. So Puneet, how nervous are you right now, and how do you think is it going to pan out? Because there are a lot of permutation, combination, you know. I think if you look at the probability, Manchester United and Chelsea are favorites, but the deal with probability is that even a 1 out of 100 probability is enough for that one incident to take place, or that one situation to take place. So if Leicester beat United, Leicester are through, no questions asked. So how nervous are you for that last game? Because that's going to be a big game. Both the teams ironically are playing together in the last day. So how do you
yeah, I'm firstly more than nervous. I think it is. It's kind of an energy, which is flowing through, which where you feel like, and with a lot of excitement in terms of what's going to happen, what are the tactics going to look like, because like we said, like you rightly said, it's built up quite beautifully, and it's just and you play 38, 37 games, and then comes down to one game. I mean, what else? And it's Premier League at its best, and somehow it has panned out this season due to Leicester's form, United's uprise, Chelsea being there always and being performing at a certain level. I mean, it's genuinely been one of the seasons to, in terms of the top four race, at least in terms of the title race. It was very, very early decided. In fact, post January, I don't think so anyone had a doubt as to what was going to happen. In fact, even after Christmas. So a lot of excitement, a lot of not nervousness, but I mean uh, energy to just look at it and see if whether United actually come through. A lot of scenarios as well, right? Like someone I saw a WhatsApp message being sent to me with a 9 by 9 3 by 3 matrix. I think, yeah, in terms of the scenarios that are possible, with Chelsea drawing, United drawing, goal difference, and whatnot coming across. When Leicester win, and also that's also interesting. I think another big point here is like we were discussing last time, is the fact between Villa, Bournemouth, and Watford, right? The kind of 50 to 70 million difference that it makes when you're 18th or otherwise when you're 17th. And Villa currently look the favourites in terms of the fact that they're facing West Ham and Watford facing Arsenal. You don't know which has Watford, although they've had their share of problems, you never know as to what Watford could actually bring through. So that's also a very intriguing case coming up. And congratulations to Tottenham, and Tottenham have already reached Europa. So if Wolves lose to Chelsea, and if Tottenham win, Tottenham come fifth, so automatic Europa spot. So that's also something. And Jose, if you know, he really strives on reaching such European competitions because he knows that he's someone who can actually win it, and he has won with multiple teams. So that is also a subplot that is building. So lots to look forward to. Let's start. Going one by one
So,
with the
I mean,
teams and
we've done a lot of the predictions, because now we know
yeah.
only two out of the three teams are going to go. I just want to ask you, first I'm going to ask you, then I'm going to answer myself. What do you think will be the implications of, say, Manchester United losing out? Because I know that Manchester United haven't signed a player as of now for the summer window because of the 3 month lag. A lot of clubs are looking at transfer targets already because we're not there's going to be a very small turnaround. Once the Champions
Mm,
League gets over, I think there are
yeah.
a couple of weeks of rest, and then again, the teams are going to be back playing. Luckily, none of the teams are going to go deep, so that's apart from Manchester City in the Premier League are going deep, so that's good. But I was just wondering, because I was sitting and thinking to myself that if at all, worst case scenario, if Chelsea don't qualify for the Champions League, so what is going to happen? Obviously there is going to be a financial implication because of which sort of the budgets will be affected to a certain extent. I don't think to a very big extent because Chelsea having had the transfer ban and Manchester United being one of the most profitable clubs in the world. So I don't think the transfer dealings are going to be affected. But again, what what would be if I were a United fan? I personally would be a little apprehensive because I don't think an Ole has a pull a big manager has, or probably someone else would have. So I think if I am a player and I want to go to Manchester United and Ole is the manager, I would want that Champions League spot to be fixed because uh, it's not that there's a project or obviously they're doing a good job, to be honest, especially since the restart. But I don't see a vision with Manchester United in terms of the current management. Personally, obviously I could be wrong. You could look at it another way. I could probably see that he's trying to stabilize the team, probably get them to a level where they're finishing top four for a couple of years, and then probably if they can go ahead, it happens. Or else a bigger manager will come in, like say a Pochettino or someone who could actually help them challenge for the league. So as a player, if you want to sign someone like a Jadon Sancho, I think the reason, apart from money and the other stuff, I would think that Champions League would be a very big I'm
Pull.
not saying that United can't sign a Jadon Sancho if they're not playing in the Champions League, but a Champions League spot will be like, it'll be something which will smoothen the deal. It'll make it much easier. So, what do you think? I mean, apart from the financial implication, how much would it affect United getting in players the next year? Because that is something which is very important. Most of the squads are going to strengthen, and if United don't, they could fall back further. So, what do you think?
So that's actually a brilliant point. I mean, I one so couple of points you raised, right? Um, United would. So I'll start with the last most. United would fall back further. So I personally think he's starting to build a few bricks together. I'm not so skeptical of Ole as I was, and I'm also hearing theories because amongst United fans and amongst players and former players that he's setting it up for a bigger manager, like you said, say a
Hmm.
Poch or say perhaps an Allegri, who can come in and build it up then for the league. What he can do primarily, and which I think he hasn't achieved it yet, but he's still in process of if I call it as a positive, is the fact that he's laying the bricks for some better manager or someone who can, like you said, if United come fourth, if United come third for that matter, and they qualify for the Champions League, definitely the pull for Sancho becomes easier.
Yeah.
It's only going to decrease his. I doubt it's going to decrease his price, but it definitely makes it easier. Uh, I was still surprised that Bruno signed in January. Till then, I was very skeptical that he could sign any big player. Not only with the fact that uh, one, he wanted to sign, two, he wasn't an Englishman. So Van Bissaka and Maguire was an Englishman and were Englishmen, and hence I think Ole was able to sign them. But for in case of Bruno, when he signed, and plus the quality of the player that he is, that actually surprised me. Uh,
Yeah, plus
no
one
doubt,
more
if
point that, the point that you're making is Bruno already comes from a big club who's playing in the Champions League. The reason
correct,
probably a Leicester or a Crystal Palace are not those kind of glamorous clubs, and probably at the beginning of the season we always expected United to finish above Leicester anyway. So probably Maguire and Aaron Van Bissaka had a bigger pull because they themselves were not
true,
playing at big clubs. And
true,
Bruno, I think probably if he would have waited till the summer, United wouldn't have been able to get him because they would have had better suitors looking for him. So I think that
absolutely,
is sometimes what is the most important. I think Chelsea have done a very good job by sealing the Werner and Ziyech deal, and they're looking at
yeah,
Kai Havertz, even though they don't need him right now, because if they don't sign him in this window, they'll never be able to get him because he's going to be a
yeah, that's
player
true.
who's going to be scouted by the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich,
Munich and
and
all, yeah,
Chelsea currently, with the current scenario, with the current squad, they probably don't stand that kind of a chance. But because of the transfer ban, we do have that chance, and that is why I think they are going, all out for him, because
all guns blazing,
there are
yeah.
certain players,
Which is very good, right? Which I think, which is a fantastic strategy, because I think this is exactly what even Gary Neville was saying, and I would like you to continue on that
Hmm,
a point where Gary Neville told that if a team wants to build, this is the right time to buy. It's like an investment, right? When the stocks are down, you buy. That's the time when you actually go in and buy, and that's exactly what you said about Havertz.
yeah, because that's what happens with Sancho. If United don't get Sancho right now, there could be
Hmm,
a possibility that he'll play, another great season, and probably in January clubs don't really spend all that much, and even if someone does, there'll be a Barcelona or Real Madrid who'll have a more clear picture of their finances, and they can,
correct.
by then we are expecting the pandemic to be over, so we can, or to be towards a decline. So then we can expect, you know, a Sancho to go to a bigger club. So I think if United need to get in Sancho, they don't. Let's be honest, Chelsea and United don't have the pull that they did have 10 years back. So, 10 years back, probably they could compete with the Real Madrid, and they have done that. Look, when Chelsea signed Hazard, there were a lot of clubs interested in him. So when Chelsea won the Champions League, there was a United, there was a Tottenham, there was an Arsenal, and then there were a few,
Yeah,
few foreign clubs as well. Real Madrid were always interested in Hazard. So, there was a certain pull when it came to these clubs back in the day. But, over the past 5 years, I would suggest that pull is slowly declining. That is why you see the kind of players. United and Chelsea are not stuck with a lot of average players only because they made bad decisions. It's also because they don't really have the pull, and they, more often than not, they sort of go in for that second choice or the third
correct,
choice, or maybe
correct.
even
Yeah.
fourth choice at times. So yeah, again, so
So,
what do you think? What do you think with the Sancho situation, and how do you think?
so if in case if United come fifth, then it definitely becomes difficult to one convince. I think even 120 million bid would not sort of affect him. I still think he'll come. Even if United come fifth, I still think he'll come. But then it'll become very difficult to get the likes of anyone else, for that matter, to come. And more importantly, more than the player signing, like you were saying about Chelsea, I agree with that completely. More than the player signing, more than the money, the rebuilding goes again a step, or it halts. It does not go a step ahead. When you are in the Champions League, right? And I talk from a thought process, or from when you're a management, or when you're or someone who's building the team. When you're in the Champions League, and United might actually do poorly in it. Okay, because genuinely, if you remove the first 11, and we saw that, right? If the first 11 doesn't play against Chelsea, or if they're so tired against the West Ham, or even the likes of Southampton, the drop in levels is drastic. So if you remove the first 11, and that would actually show. So if you play you come fourth, say you come fourth, you come third, say get a Sancho, get. I'm hearing we are also looking after a centre back and an attacking midfielder. So you best case scenario, you take Grealish, Sancho, and a Koulibaly or an Ake. You go with that team. You play in Champions League. You won't do pretty well. You might actually just come to the round of 32 or even go out in the group stage, considering there are generally very, very good, like a PSG or someone would easily beat us for that matter. So at least you would know that, okay, you're there, like what's happening with Chelsea right now. You know the level of players you need. That's the reason you have gone for Werner, Ziyech, Havertz. All three improve your first team. It is not that they are going to be
Squad players.
or they're or in the fringes of the first team. They're never going to be on the bench. They're not someone who's been taken for the bench. Werner plays first team, definitely. Ziyech plays first team, definitely. Havertz plays first team 80% of the time, yes. So that's the point. And these are all defined. Like Werner's been terrific in the Champions League. He's been brilliant for Leipzig. Ziyech took Ajax to the finals, took us to the semi-finals a couple of seasons ago. Same goes with Havertz. He's been very, very good. So that's the kind of now you've realized it, because you realize, okay, this is where we were tracking. You unfortunately got Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich had a very good match against you all, and to reach even 80% of Bayern Munich's level next season, you need a certain kind of player. That is what coming league does, and that is where coming top 3, top 4 is important, and hence the pull, the drive, everything should be more than getting a Sancho or a Koulibaly or a Grealish when coming fourth. I think the bigger implication would be this as to building, and not only as a United fan, but also as someone who would love to see them building again towards and challenging for the title. I'm just fed up of Liverpool and City playing the way they do. So for it's a good stage. So if you start doing that within 2-4 years, especially 2 years, you expect them. So the season 2022, you expect United to challenge for the title full on. So and same goes with Chelsea. I'm sure if you all sign perhaps a centre back or a couple of players that you're looking at in certain positions, wearing left back and a centre back
Goalkeeper.
and Havertz and a goalkeeper. So if you all do sign that, you are expecting that by 2022 or even by the end of this season, you're in a very strong position to challenge the top 2. And this is what the aim should be.
Yeah, I think a lot of rational points there, because I personally think that it's not, it's if Chelsea need to challenge for the title this year, they'll need 6 good signings. So that'll 3 of the ones which have already, 2 of them are confirmed. The third one is almost done. There's a big chance it'll be announced in the next couple of weeks, because the only issue I had, the reason I was scared was probably a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich would swoop in for him, because he's a generational talent. I personally think that he's going to be bigger than a Timo Werner and Ziyech, of what I've heard, what I've read, what I've seen him play, because he's got so many attributes. He's a goal scorer. He's a good passer. He's technically brilliant. Technically, he reminds me a lot of Ozil, but he's also tall and physical. So he's got all the attributes you need in the game. And I think Chelsea were very interested in Jadon Sancho at one point of time, but then obviously because they were getting Hakim Ziyech for such a reasonable price, I think they decided that it doesn't make sense spending a 90 million on a 20-year-old if you're getting a 26-year-old who would also add to the experience, because Chelsea are a relatively young team. If you look at the core, we've got like a very, very young team. Barely we have players who are above the age of 25. So I think who are first teamers. So if you look at, if Giroud goes, so we'll have Werner who's 24, we'll have Ziyech who will be one of the people who will be more experienced, a lot of experience in the Champions League as well. So I thought that was the rationale behind it, and plus he was really cheap. I think he was getting Ziyech for 34 million is absolute daylight robbery, and I personally think even Werner was was bought at
It's a very good deal.
7.5 million pounds, which is again, he's probably an 80 to 100 million striker.
Correct.
And if I were to value him, if he didn't have just 2 years left on his contract, he would probably go for much more. So yeah, I mean, it's completely understandable why Chelsea made these transfers. Now that makes, and with Pulisic doing so well, I personally didn't think Pulisic would do so well. I thought,
What a season he's having. Yeah.
because last season he was comprehensively put on the bench by the likes of Jadon Sancho. So he was supposed to be the starter, but Jadon Sancho absolutely took his spot. So I don't think that I never thought that he'll be so good, but probably Lampard has sort of triggered him and got that aggressive bit out of him, because he was always a very good technical player, but he was a little too soft for the game, I think, which he's overcome as of now. So I think that is what is, that is why I think even if Chelsea miss out in Champions League, they are probably not, they won't be able to buy probably one player. But since they've already spent most of their budget, I don't think a very big signing is going to come. So they'll buy a left back who's probably in the 20 to 25 million range. I think the only realistic goalkeeper that Chelsea could buy, in spite of all the Oblak rumors, is Onana, who will be again in the range of 27 to 30 million. So these are not very big players. So since Chelsea have already spent most of their transfer budget, they will not be affected. But when you look at Leicester, it could be massive for them, because Leicester, if they finish in the Champions League, it's not that they will not have the finances. Even last year they did have some money. They sold Maguire. They did buy a couple of players. They bought in a Jose Perez for a decent sum. They bought in the Belgian, I guess.
Tielemans, 40 million centre midfielder. And Dennis Pratt as well.
Dennis Pratt, Dennis Pratt was again. So these are three big players that they bought. So it's not that they don't have the finances, but probably the pull that they would require to get in a big player, because Leicester is a club which is not very glamorous. Yes, they won the league before Liverpool, for that matter, but they don't have that glamour, because once they won the league, they couldn't sort of retain it for the next. Had they finished in the top four in the subsequent season, then it would have been a much better option for bigger players to sort of make their entry, who probably are not going to get signed by a Chelsea, United, City or Liverpool, but they are at the same level, so they could consider Leicester as an option. So that could be a big implication for Leicester if they do make. But
do you think, like, okay, I don't know, it's the same case, right? Because how much I mean, you see the likes of Werner and Ziyech being convinced by Lampard. Do you think Rodgers would get a similar attraction?
See, look at Rodgers. I think he would be somewhere between a Lampard and an Ole. I think players mostly are coming to United for Manchester United, because it's a massive club. Then I don't think there are a lot of players who are coming because of Ole's managerial tactics or the playing style.
I do think
Lampard,
I just a point there. I think that's also because I think 100%, like they come for Manchester United. Two, I think they're just a little starting to tweak towards the vision now. That's only because he started to get the likes of Van Bissaka, Maguire and Bruno in this window, where he's kind of build a little bit of the first team a little stronger. That's it. And you're 100% right. That it's still more United and less Ole.
I think Lampard has a certain kind of attraction because of his playing style. If you look at the modern football, today, players want to play in an aggressive team. They don't want to play under Mourinho or probably under Diego Simeone anymore. Not a lot of those managers are slowly losing their pull, because the modern player doesn't want to play in their team. They want to play in teams where they're going for all-out attack. Obviously, a Man City has a certain kind of pull, but watching Lampard manage Chelsea this season, although he's been very naive at times, defensively especially, but he's got a very good playing style. I think after City, Chelsea have played the best attacking football. They may not have the goals to show for it, because we've been terrible in finishing off our chances, but I think you look at the playing style, that sort of attracts a lot of people into it, because Ole's playing style is defined as per the players he's playing, and also depending on what kind of team he's playing. He sort of can be as defensive as a Jose Mourinho against a big team, and he can obviously sort of go out all guns blazing, like against Norwich or a lesser team, or Bournemouth or something like that. So that is the difference. Teams there are players who want to play for these managers who are more attractive, and Lampard, because of the playing, because of what he's done as a player, I think there aren't a lot of players in the Premier League who have been as
Yeah.
instrumental as
That's a good
Lampard. And
point.
especially, I another thing which strikes me is that when these players were probably, players were 24, 25, and they probably started watching football, that would have been the time, they were 9,
Uh,
10, 11, and that was the time probably, Frank Lampard was playing at his peak. So I think all these factors
point.
do affect, because Ole's time came a little before that, and plus he wasn't a proper first team
As
player.
successful
He was
as
more of he was a
Lampard.
squad player. He scored a lot of important goals. That's not undermining, but he wasn't that glamorous player. Like, people would rather watch uh, say a Ryan Giggs at that time. They would rather root for a Roy Keane, who was a tremendous midfielder, or a Paul Scholes. A David Beckham. These are the kind of players that you associate that team with. So I do think that there are certain things which are, which may differ from a Chelsea, a United, or Leicester. But let's be, sure and agree on one point: the Champions League football is really important for all three clubs. So another point that I wanted to touch today was that the touchline row that happened, quite a few sparks flew here and there in the game against Liverpool and Chelsea, which was a very exciting game. In spite of losing 5-3, I think that was one of the most entertaining games of football I've seen. There was a point we were 3-0 down, we came back 3-1, and then it was 4-3 at a point when Pulisic came out and Liverpool couldn't deal with him. And it was an
Yeah,
amazing
man.
game. But
What a signing.
what has taken all the media attention is this ongoing, sort of squabble between Lampard and Klopp, because he had a few words to share, and then he spoke about it in his post-match interview, saying that Liverpool, it's great they're winning, and he was even seen in a couple of videos congratulating Sadio Mane and all that. So he wasn't bitter or something, but he did say, it's okay, you've just won one league title, and now there's no need to be so arrogant. So the
I
question,
think he was mentioning a sub staff or someone or an assistant
correct,
manager of
correct.
Klopp who was reporting, and he actually mentioned that it's good that they have won. It's not. It's I would like to congratulate them, but I mean you can't be arrogant about it. And coming from a player like Lampard's quality, who's won so much, he's won everything that Premier League or England has to offer, and
Yeah.
he's played at the highest level, won at the highest level, and he. And so I'm sure he must have seen arrogance. He has played against with the best against the best. So he has seen arrogance. He has seen a certain class. So when I mean, that is what made me, tilt my understanding towards Lampard, because you're right. You've just won a league. Be happy rather than being arrogant about it. Just be happy and celebrate. You need not, come out in on the face of a team that is losing already, and you know that you have won. You actually do go. So there's a thin line, right? Thin line between a champion being arrogant. It's good to be extremely confident and be arrogant to a point that you know and believe in your qualities and believe in yourself. But when it crosses a line and it goes to a point where you're undermining an opponent, and I think those were the words from what we are seeing on the videos online. Um, I think that is where he lost his calm, and he said, "You are no one to tell me that."
Yeah, I know. He's like, you won your first league, and you're, you know,
Yeah,
the guy there has won everything there is to play in the game. And obviously, that has nothing to do. He's done that as a player. That has nothing to do with
correct.
managerial pedigree. But I personally find Liverpool fans really, you know,
Same,
really
same.
arrogant, in spite of the fact that they haven't. I've got a few friends who are like really proper Liverpool fans who are not that arrogant. I just spoke to one friend before we were shooting this video, congratulating him. But, most of them, you look at them on social media, and obviously, social media, a lot of stuff is being said just for reaction. So there are a lot of fans from all, the likes of those who have like 17,000, 20,000 followers. They say a lot of controversial stuff just to get a reaction. Half of that they don't even mean. But if you look at a vast majority of the Liverpool fans who've been following them a lot, I sense this. strange level of arrogance in them, and I think uh, it is transferring to the team, or probably they're getting way ahead of themselves, because yeah, they've had two tremendous seasons, not undermining anything Jurgen Klopp has done or the team has done. A manager is only as good as his team, so he has done a lot of things right, but he's got a good team in place. He's got phenomenal set of players in place. But I think that they everyone is considering them to be the greatest team ever. There was
Greatest team,
this
yeah.
the entire season there was this thing going on that Liverpool is the greatest team to have ever played, and they were comparing them to the 99 2000 United
Ah,
team. I mean,
no, United
first thing,
team, Chelsea
first
team,
thing,
the Invincible. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Invincibles, Man City, the first thing, the most basic thing that comes across, their best team ever in the Premier League only won the league. They didn't win another.
Exactly.
They didn't win the
Any
Carabao
other
Cup, for
trophy? Yeah,
Christ's sake. They got knocked
yeah,
out in the round of 16 in the Champions League. You look at the other
yeah,
team. United won the Champions League and the Premier League twice. In
yeah.
'08, they
Yeah,
went
08,
out in the
09
league
and
twice.
1999. Yeah,
Yeah,
same. I think Chelsea won it thrice. City won it twice. Every team that's won
yeah. So,
competitions to be
and
even
they won.
categorized in a certain type.
Probably Chelsea went to the semi-final both the years, and they were pretty
Yeah,
unlucky there. They won the Carling Cup back then. So a good team is one which sort of, if you're thinking of comparing yourself to one of the great teams, you compete on multiple fronts. You get knocked out to Atletico Madrid, which again, Liverpool played really well, but they did get knocked out. There's no defending that. And then they were knocked out by Chelsea in the FA Cup, and they didn't go very further to I mean,
correct.
they didn't go too deep in the Capital One Cup as well, the Carabao Cup, whatever it is.
Yeah,
So, is Liverpool really as good as they've been, hyped up to? Because I think what they did this year very well was, they were tactically brilliant. They had a solid midfield which sort of covered for the attacking fullbacks, and they gave a protective cover to their defenders. They have one of the best front threes in the world, I think, and not even in the Premier League. Definitely, they've got the best attacking trio, but they themselves are sufficient to score a goal, so they don't need that kind of attacking support. And that's why I think, selling a Coutinho probably made them stronger, because they were always susceptible to a counter attack when Coutinho was playing, because he didn't track back all that much. But now that they have three workhorses in the middle of the park, they've got a Gini Wijnaldum, they've got a Fabinho, they've got a Jordan Henderson who are going to work their socks off. They've got like a phenomenal midfield, not in terms of the fact that they have a lot of flair, they are talented, supremely talented footballers, but how hardworking they are. And three of them, not one. More often than not, you have one player who sits back, like Chelsea have a Kante, and then there's been Sergio Busquets, who's been in a very successful Barcelona team. Say Casemiro in Real Madrid, but here you have
Real Madrid.
three
Yeah,
very hardworking midfielders who are not the most gifted footballers, to be honest, but they contribute a lot in terms of uh, keeping a team in a game. Even when they're not playing well, they'll probably keep them in the game, and then they can score a late goal and win it. And how many late goals have Liverpool scored this season?
yeah, man.
And another comparison, the team that won under Conte, I don't even think it was one of our greatest title wins.
Best. Yeah,
I would
I
sort
think that was the most surprising Chelsea team to win a league. And
exactly,
that
because
if you go
it
player by player, I think Conte's team was the weakest.
I know, perfect. Because there was an Alonso who no one had heard
Yeah,
of. He scored 7 goals that season, and then obviously Diego Costa was a big player. Fabregas didn't take any part for most of the season. Then obviously we had Victor Moses at right wing back.
yeah, exactly. At right wing back. Oh my God. Yeah,
So we had a Kale, we had Aspilicueta playing at the center in a
centre
centre
back.
back position for the first time in his career. We had David Luiz, for Christ's sake, who was the base in our back three. So obviously we did have like Kante who was doing a tremendous job. Diego Costa was a beast in that season, I remember.
That's
And there was Hazard, who was sort of, our game plan was to give the
at his
ball to
peak.
Hazard
Yeah,
and just wait for him to do something. So, but they scored 85 goals. Liverpool are on 82 with one game left to play. So the so-called attacking Liverpool side, I personally think Conte is a defensive manager. He managed to get 85 goals that season, and you're comparing Liverpool to be one of the most attacking teams that's ever played. So I think they've been overhyped a little. I think I don't think there's a more professional team in today's day and age.
That's
If you look at,
a very good word, professional.
yeah,
Yeah.
professional is the word for Liverpool. They've been
Yeah.
extremely professional, and they know, everyone knows that everyone has a designated role,
Role to
and
play. Yeah.
everyone understands how important the other person's role is. So it's important to understand what your role is, but it's also important to understand what a Henderson gets to the team, or what a Gini Wijnaldum or what a Fabinho gets into a team, as much as what a Salah or a Mane or a glamour player, or Firmino for that matter. Firmino is someone who doesn't score a lot of goals, but if you actually look at him, Firmino is extremely important to the way a Mane and a Salah plays. He may not get the goals and assists, he'll get sort of them ticking. So they've got, no, I'm not here to say that Liverpool are not a good team, they don't have a talented team, but I think there's a sense of arrogance I have personally seen by most of the fans, not all of the fans. A lot of good Liverpool fans that I know, and actually not a lot of whom I know, but yeah, there are there are a couple of them who I know personally who've been following the club for a very long time, and they've stayed rooted because they know where they come from. They come from a team from a time where they used to play a lot of nil-nils under Rafa Benitez. They did win the Champions League, obviously, under amazing circumstances, which was great. But yeah, so Puneet, your thoughts, your final thoughts, and we'll just wind this up. What do you think that is this the right? I mean, obviously they have the bragging rights because they're champions of England, but do you think this is something which will sort of eventually lead to a fall, the way that these guys are? There's a thin line between being confident and being arrogant, and where do you think Liverpool lie there?
Importantly, I think the point here is that Liverpool. I just would like to also point out the fact the way media has hyped them. I think we were discussing this earlier, right? Klopp and his team have tremendous PR going for them, right? Like I mean, they are one of the best in terms of whenever the team loses, whenever the team or Klopp makes a controversial statement, you will never hear it. Like you'll literally have fans from the opposing teams or our fans who are competing actually come out and say, okay, did Klopp just say that? Did Klopp actually just not say that there was a problem with the grass? Was there a problem of the wind? And people would actually come out and say, and why wasn't this highlighted? Or a Jose Mourinho just coming out and saying, I don't want to speak, and that gets on the front page. So that is exactly the kind of PR that you want, right? That's the kind of backing that you would actually like to see. So I think we were discussing, right? Sky Sports actually made a video on Gary Neville, and it is just hilarious the way the English media has hyped them in terms of the best team, the best the best players to play, to make it happen, the best Premier League play. I can name at least 5 to 6 teams, which are 5 to 6 teams which are genuinely better than Liverpool's. United 98, even Arsenal 98, Arsenal Invincibles, Chelsea under Mourinho, Chelsea under Ancelotti, United 08-09, Chelsea under Mourinho again, Chelsea under Conte, Leicester. By the way, Leicester's title win is supposed to be the story of dreams. I mean, that season they did not get this
given to Leicester.
exactly.
What they've done.
I mean, they were about to get relegated, man. They saved themselves on the last day. Nigel Pearson actually carried them in the next season, and then they hired Ranieri. Out of nowhere, they won it. Jamie Vardy was playing League One, like literally the football that we play at this level. He was playing that 5 years ago, and he's won a league. I mean, this is just tremendous. And these are the stories we know because we read about it. I'm sure the entire this is what PR and media does, right? The media actually amplifies a certain things at such a high level that you tend to believe, all right, if you ask a non-footballing fan, if you ask someone who is not really rooted to football, and you sit down and talk about Liverpool, and they would feel, Liverpool is the greatest team right now. Liverpool has won everything. Liverpool, and that is how media is protecting. But if you ask me, even being a United fan too, to me, Leicester's win is, I think, phenomenal. I've seen nothing like that in football, and I doubt we are ever going to see like that. I mean, they were genuinely going to get relegated, man. They're going to get relegated a season before. They saved their ass on on the last day, came out. Nigel Pearson carried them, and they won the season. I mean, I remember they were fourth, and Ranieri coming to the press conference saying, "Please listen, we are in the Champions League. I don't give a damn about where we finish. We are in the Champions League, and I'm the most happy. I don't give a damn about it." So, and nothing got, like, you never hear
And
stories
Manchester
about.
City, I forgot to mention Manchester City, what
Oh,
they did
oh,
two
Pep
seasons
Guardiola,
back
yeah, yeah,
when they won 100 points. I mean, that's a point record which Liverpool thought they would really, I think that is what arrogance leads to. I think that
yeah.
they were so confident that they're gonna, squash the record so easily. They're gonna squash a lot of other records as well. That eventually that didn't happen.
Yeah, they just had to
Performances,
turn up. Yeah,
yeah, their performances did take a toll. They were making stupid mistakes, and that is complacency. Arrogance does lead to complacency. We've seen that with a lot of teams. We've seen a lot of teams fall because of arrogance. I remember Chelsea won the league under Mourinho, and then the next season they couldn't play three passes together. So that is what it leads to. If you're not mentally very focused and very stable, and you don't stay rooted for that matter, I don't think you can. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm not a footballer, and I
yeah.
mean, obviously, most of these pundits who are on TV, they're no experts either. They definitely have worn a shirt of some club at some point of time, and they have their own biases. So, I mean, I see most of these Liverpool managers, Liverpool ex-Liverpool players are mostly failed managers, and they don't get jobs anywhere else. So they eventually sign a contract with Sky Sports or BT Sports, and then start, defending their team. And you know, you look at the history. Look at the kind of players. You look at a Michael Owen. He's obviously working with
Yeah.
Star Sports very regularly. You look at
Graham Souness,
Graham
Steve McManaman,
Steve
all
McManaman.
these are like,
Steve McMahon, forget Jamie Redknapp for that matter, uh,
uh,
and the other
yeah,
guy. Uh, who's the other guy who got
Carragher,
Carragher? Yeah, Jamie Carragher. Yes,
Jamie Carragher, yeah.
correct. So you look at there's a Stevie Nicol who played at
Oh, yeah,
ESPN,
yeah,
who's again,
yeah. ESPN, yeah.
he was a great player, no doubt, but he's a he's a terrible pundit, because his bias is, I remember the other day, uh, I think it was Michael Owen, and instead of mentioning Liverpool, he mentioned we. So
Oh,
you're supposed to you get paid to have, obviously you
yeah,
are called
unbiased.
because you are an ex-Liverpool player for a particular match, because that's how they have managed their panels. But again, there has to be some kind of if you're called as a special guest is a different thing. So like one
Yeah,
time a John Terry comes on Sky Sports, so he can address Chelsea as we, or probably if a Steven Gerrard comes in who's not on a proper contract, you can understand these guys using that kind of language. But if you're referring to, first of all, you have no moral authority to do that, because you played for both United and Liverpool, so you're anyways a sellout.
and he's won with United, by the way. He's won a Premier League with United. Ironically,
Yeah, I remember the
that's
3-2
even more
goal he
hilarious.
scored. That was the biggest contribution
Yeah.
he
Oh
put in the
my,
last part of his
absolutely, man, absolutely.
life. I still won't forget that goal. But yeah,
Yeah,
so that's about it, man. I don't see a point. I can understand why he has a very good PR, because most of these players, ex-player, ex-Liverpool, and there's a Craig Burley who actually is an ex-Chelsea player, but I don't know what Chelsea did to him. He's always criticizing them. So I do understand why this is happening, because you look at, obviously there's a Gary Neville who's pretty dominant, and he does, and there's a Rio Ferdinand. So if you actually look at it, only these Chelsea players are the ones, apart from a Joe Cole, or these Spaniards, they are the ones who are going out and taking jobs in management or doing something else. But these Liverpool ex-players have to be a part of the media, and they have to sort of control it. Barring, I think, say, Gary Lineker, who is a Spurs guy who know, and Spurs is a
Was
team.
in Leicester, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and Barcelona as well for a
Yeah.
short stint. But people really don't care about his clubs, apart from Barcelona. But not a lot of English Premier League fans give two hoots about Barcelona. So yeah, that's about it. So a lot of things we wanted to discuss, and we thought that we'll keep this very casual because there are a lot of football opinions which obviously it comes, and we are not claiming to be neutral because we are not on
Yeah.
television, we're not getting paid, and we obviously have our affiliation. Puneet is a United fan, I myself am a Chelsea fan, so obviously we will sort of probably exaggerate a few things, but
No, but
if you get
like you
the
said, right?
entirety.
Like you said, right? Extreme respect to Liverpool. I mean, they have been brilliant. They are the best side in the country, at least for the last 2 years. They are very close to City, beat City, best club in the world in Champions League.
Champions League win was
No doubt
massive.
about it. Very, very good. I think they have formed a blueprint. Like we have discussed this multiple times. They've formed a blueprint as to how to give a manager time to allow to set their players, to set a culture in the club, to get quality of players, to build a quality of style. But this is going to remain a point of contention, right? It's going to be tomorrow. United does it, or even a Chelsea does it. I mean, did you see Leicester players crying? I did not, man. I did not.
Crying in press
Vardy was actually
conferences.
laughing. Vardy was actually laughing. I remember he had come with Rebecca Vardy on an interview. He did not cry. He didn't. He just said a story. Like, and to
And then
me, Vardy's story is even more motivational than any of these players.
there's one thing. Okay, so Trent Alexander-Arnold, he makes a statement that I would swap any medal for this one. You've got like
Hmm.
two medals. The only one you can swap is a Champions League medal. So, I mean, you
Exactly,
have
man.
two trophies and you're talking as if you've been winning for the past 20 years. The way the PR machinery is working, it's been made that those 30 years never happened. Like Liverpool were
Exactly,
always
yeah.
they're the biggest. Like I'm sure when Leeds fans start becoming more active now that they're in the Premier League, they're gonna have a similar attitude. They won 3 league titles, man. They've just won 3 league titles. Obviously, they won a lot. There was a phase in the 80s. When they had Don
Very,
Revy
very
and
successful, yeah.
70s, 80s, they were a big club and they were a dirty team, but they were the ones who used to dominate. They were very good in Europe as well. But I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's good. It's congratulations, and I've seen Chelsea win 5 Premier League titles, so
Exactly.
I know how it feels. But I'm not gonna have say if in 2 years Chelsea win the league, you're not gonna see you're
Yeah,
not gonna see
which is
Lampard
crying
overacting
or
or
yeah,
probably
or Hudson-Odoi crying because this is his first one. No, man. It
I
is a
mean,
medal. This is what you're building it for. I mean, it's not. I found it must be very emotional. I can understand it. It's a very good moment, proud moment. But I mean, the way they have made it out, it just seems to me
crying
that
in
people
press
have.
conference, I can understand them crying on the field, because then that is when you're
Yeah, yeah,
overwhelmed with emotions and all that.
correct.
So the press guys, I saw this video where Henderson has shown a clip of Jurgen Klopp, and I mean, come on, man, give me a break. This is like, it's and probably this adds to their advantage. And I'm not saying there's an agenda, but it's human nature to show some kind of affection for a club that you played for, and you know
Yeah,
they're the neutral favorite as well. So currently under Jurgen Klopp, because he's got a very good rapport with the press reporters, he's very laughy, giggly, and all that in his press conferences. So he's got like a very good uh, equation with most of the journalists. So they write good articles about them. I mean, the biggest scam I've seen in the past 20 years is the fact that Jordan Henderson wins
true,
Football
man.
Writers Association Player of the Year. I
And
don't think
people are actually backing it. Like how I would actually give it to Mane, man. I would actually
there
feel
are
Mane was a better
two
shout.
Liverpool
Van
players
Dijk,
who are better than him in this season,
yeah,
at least if not three. I'm talking about, and I'm
and
not bringing Kevin De Bruyne in the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I'm
when
just talking
City
about
won the
Liverpool.
league with 100 points, they gave it to Salah because he broke records. Now Kevin De Bruyne is on
Yeah,
the cusp of breaking the assist record, which was held by
exactly.
Henry. If
For
he
Henry, yeah.
gets in an assist tomorrow, he'll be equaling that. But that doesn't get any coverage of the fact that that is not going to overpower the fact that Liverpool have won the league. I mean, come on, man, it's too much this time. So yeah, this was. I think we should stop it because we can go on and on.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if at all some Liverpool fans watch this, they're going to be a little rattled. But it's just we giving our opinions. We don't claim to be experts, anyways. And obviously, I'm pretty sure that a lot of other fan bases are going to find United fans and Chelsea fans annoying as well. And I think that there is a sense of arrogance that creeps into fans. So I've seen a lot of United fans speaking up now that United are playing
Yeah.
season who
Yeah,
were
man.
quiet.
I think there was one fan, which Anis, I think he keeps tweeting, and Anis, if you're listening, this I think he's been pretty stable about the fact that, you know what, this is not the best. This is not there. We aren't doing anything that we aren't supposed to do. United were, and I agree with the point. Yes, we are playing well. Yes, we are actually playing with a little bit of swagger. We look to be going in the right direction, no doubt about it. Manchester United are. Having said that, this is where we were supposed to be. So we haven't
And
overhit,
even since the
nor
restart,
nor are nor are we, that bad. So this is where we are supposed to be. I did not expect them to come second. I knew Liverpool and City were a bit different, but you are supposed to come third. This is the third. You should have the third best spot in the
they
country,
should
and you
have
should be able to play.
they should have had it locked in by now. Probably,
Exactly.
I would suggest. When the season started, obviously Pochettino was at Tottenham. I thought that United, Tottenham, Liverpool, and Man City are going to finish in the top four. I didn't give Chelsea a
True.
shout. I didn't think Leicester, even in my wildest
Leicester
dreams, would
nowhere.
fighting
Yeah.
till the last day. So that itself is tremendous. And United, even since the restart, they drew against Tottenham, they lost against Chelsea. Those are the only two sort of semi-big teams they faced.
Yeah.
Is there another
So
big
no,
team they
Tottenham,
faced?
Southampton, West Ham. So
They
three games they've drawn.
drew against
Sorry,
Tottenham, they lost to Chelsea. No, I'm
Southampton.
talking about, have they played big games
Acha.
since
No,
the
no, that's
restart?
it. That's
No.
it. That's it.
So yeah, they
That's it.
haven't beaten a team we didn't expect them to beat. So obviously that City win was pretty big, but City have been all over the place this season. But apart from that, since the restart, when the momentum has gathered since the restart, not towards the latter part because they were just grinding out results there. I think that led to a certain amount of confidence, which is leading to the current run of
Yeah.
results, those back-to-back wins and the unbeaten streak and all that. So I think they've been good, they've been really good, but they haven't done something which is not expected. I'm not
Exactly.
even talking about a Sir Alex Ferguson team. I'm talking about the United team that has been doing, which finished second 2 years back. So they
No,
were.
same here. I think I'm a United fan, and I would completely agree with this point of view that I think this is where United should have been, or was expected to be. The only thing that makes me positive is the fact that, okay, we are playing a decent brand of football, and if this continues, is where we'll end up growing, or achieve, or decreasing the gap between the top two, and we
Yeah,
are nowhere close
I don't
to it.
think neither Chelsea, nor United, nor Leicester are anywhere close to City and Liverpool. But yes, if a good transfer window could make a lot of difference, because I remember, if you look at the current Liverpool team, you can give all the credit to Klopp and all that. He's done a tremendous job. But those two windows where they signed Van Dijk, Alisson, and
Allison,
Fabinho,
yeah,
who are
yeah,
who are basically the defensive core. We all knew that Liverpool were very good going forward, and
correct,
knew that when you look back upon the three vital decisions that led to Liverpool winning the league, they didn't have a holding midfielder, so they bought in Fabinho. They didn't have a good goalkeeper, they bought in Alisson. They were struggling defensively, they bought the best centre back they could in England.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's how you win titles. You could say that he's built a team. He's bought players. He's bought good players. There are a couple of bargains in there. There's a Robertson costing just 10 million. But
Oh man, yeah.
that's how it happens. Chelsea bought Aspilicueta for 8. And no one knew who he was, when he came into
Ah
Chelsea.
man, what a player he's turned out.
He's
Absolutely.
turned out to
And
be one
he's,
of the
he's
best we've had. He's on 2 Europa League
correct.
titles, a few FA Cups.
Still your best defender by a mile.
Yeah,
By a
yeah,
mile.
by 3 mile. I mean, there aren't. good defenders in the Premier League, and he's one of them who's played at left back, right back, centre back.
Yeah, center
And
back.
he's even played in a back four as a centre back for
Yeah.
half a match or something. So he can fit in anywhere. So there
Because
are
he's that good defensively. I mean, his defensive mindset and understanding of the game is extremely strong,
and
intelligent. Yeah.
he's been good and he's put in like 6 assists this season, which is a record for him as well. So he's also
And number of games as well. He has a record, right? He barely gets injured.
no, he's played like he's missed 5 games in the past 5
Consecutive
seasons.
games. Yeah.
Injured, and even if he's there, any manager who comes in, Chelsea having that revolving door policy, all the managers have played him. Right from Rafa Benitez. I remember Rafa Benitez was the first manager who played him because he was signed in January.
Is he who bought him? Is
No.
Benitez what?
He was bought in. It was more of a club transfer, I think, because he was in the in the season where we sacked
Mateo.
Yeah, Di Matteo. So we bought him in. Probably we had bought him already. I'm a little confused in the timeline. It was either a January buy, because I remember he made his debut in a game against Man City under Rafa Benitez, which ended 0-0. So I do have a memory of that. But he's been tremendous. So I'm just saying that Liverpool have built a good team, but they bought most of their players. Firmino was, I think, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Joe Gomez are the only 2 academy players that are playing in this, and Jordan Henderson and Firmino are the 2 players who've been at the club for a long
For
period.
some time, yeah. I think I think Henderson was bought from Sunderland and Firmino from Germany.
Yeah, Henderson was a Dalglish guy, and Fabinho
was bought by.
Firmino was bought under Brendan Rodgers, I think.
Yeah.
And he played a couple of months under Brendan Rodgers, and Klopp came in October, I guess. So again, he's been playing under him. So fair play, but again, it's going to be a very interesting season, and let's just wind up now, because there's so much to talk.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you
Thank
like
you.
it. We don't know how to sort of put a title to this, because we've spoken about a lot of stuff in here. But I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you watch it till the end. And if you like the video, please click the like button and please subscribe to the channel. And Puneet, any parting words?
That's it, man. I think we love. Sorry, yeah, I completely, man. Looking up, I think this video is actually a nice appetizer for tomorrow. Please do watch it, right? Subscribe, like, share with your friends. This is exactly what it's going to be. It's going to build you up for the tomorrow's games. No hard feelings, Liverpool guys, Liverpool fans who watch this video. I mean, this is how it is, right? You give one, you take one. It is something. The next season is going to be even better. It starts barely in less than 45 days. 12 September is what I've heard. So, looking forward, man, and get subscribing, guys.
All right. So thank you so much. Let's just sign off. Bye-bye.
Bye.